Hey guys, what's it like recording from the same house?
The best thing about Sam and I now living together is that we can confirm that we still talk more in the group chat than in person.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Midlight Crisis, a real podcast hosted by three grown-up biologists revisiting books from our teens. And it's totally cool. We started with a regular book podcast, but we had to put biologist in there because it comes up a lot. You'd be surprised or not. Anyway, let's introduce ourselves. I guess that's how we podcast, right? Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm Sophie, and for today's name that I have randomly generated, I am Cassia Shiphands.
Oh,
What?
ship hand would be like.
Or
Ship
ship
like
hands?
a boat, like ship hands.
It seems like if it wasn't plural, it would be fine. And you would just be
Yeah.
like, yeah, someone who works on a ship. But for some reason, making it plural, it's like you have boats for hands.
Yeah, exactly.
Boat hands!
I have boat hands.
This-
Cassia's like a totally normal name.
yeah, that's
I
nice.
imagine the ship hands. Oh man,
Less normal.
I'm an NPC in a MMO. That's what I am. I'm someone you'd meet in Freehold in World of Warcraft.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I know you agree with me.
Yep, for sure.
Anyway, who are you guys?
Oh man, I don't know if mine's as good as that. But my real name is Sam, and my fantasy name of the week is Beanie Wolf Warrior.
Wow.
Oh.
Beanie.
Wow.
Benny. It's Benny.
No, I like Beanie.
Okay, we can make it Beanie. I think I added an extra A when I shouldn't have, but
That's fine.
Uh-huh. It's a random name. You can put whatever you want in there.
Then
Yeah.
Beanie Warrior it is.
Wow.
Wolf Warriors. Very dramatic.
100% a child.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
A child.
A child.
And you named
Child.
yourself Wolf
Yes.
Warrior.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep.
This is my
You're
next
definitely
D&D
plucky.
character.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna play a child.
I really want to play a child.
Oh my god.
Anyway. And I am also here. My real life name is Hannah, but my fantasy name is Niels Butler Better.
Wait.
What?
Couldn't quite get
Butler
through
Better?
that. My name is Niels Butler Better.
No.
You are 100% a character in the 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, like that name just fits right in with the rest of those character
Oh.
names.
Butler Better is such a good name.
So good.
I can only hear it in my head in the voice of a very good friend, Kevin, who has his own podcast where he sometimes does stupid voices.
Oh.
And he has this, like, blah, 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 kind of voice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it seems like it needs to be said in that voice.
Yeah.
You know?
I
Yeah,
can hear
fair.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Maybe we
Hi,
can ask
Kevin.
him to
Yeah.
ask him to record. Okay, so if we get Kevin to record this name, this is what it will sound like.
Niels Butler Better.
Thanks, Kevin.
Appreciate that.
Love it.
So anyway, yeah, so we read some more chapters of the book that we only just started
Yes.
several weeks ago. Aragon. Do you guys want to tell us what happened?
I gotta say, reading a book this way that you haven't read before is a lot harder than reading a book this way that you've already read.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I started reading this yesterday. I had no idea what happened before. It's fine. I figured it out. But let me summarize chapter 3, DRAGONTALES, for you. And just be warned, it's a bit of a lengthy one because that was a lot of chapter.
It was a long one.
So, a lot happened, and there was a lot of names and a lot of things, and to be honest, I already forgot most of them again. But the chapter starts with Aragon and his uncle trying to sell the air quote stone. And yes, I just made air quotes, so listeners, you know that. Anyways, and the buyer was refusing, which I find highly unrealistic because usually in fantasy stories, most merchants are like pretty scummy, and I feel like they would have tried to scam him, and here's like this stone. Anyways, that's beyond the point. After that, a blizzard hits, and then we fast forward a few days, and the family goes back into town, which I think is that same ridiculous walk that Aragon did before. Anyways, while in town, we get two very prominent stories told. The first is about the Urgles, and they're attacking, and there's rumors of a shade, so like kind of bringing us back to the prologue, and I guess whatever happened there is going around town. And then the second is we finally have the Dragon Tale, which alludes to where we find out about the Dragon Riders, some mad king called Galbatrix, who lost his dragon. Oh, what? How do we say it?
Galbatorix.
There we go.
Uh-huh.
And anyways, yeah, so he lost his dragon, went crazy, and then apparently this story is heresy or something in the kingdom, and then the guy who told it, who was named Brahm, may or may not end up dead because he told us this story. Yeah, so that's that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a long one.
Yeah.
Well, we will talk about that shortly, but first, I want to talk about my chapter, which was almost 2 pages long.
Wow. Literally
it's a big one.
Not even fair.
I was reading them and I was like,
I think it flipped from last episode.
It did. Last time I got the long one. But this time, fate's gift to me was that my chapter was only 2 pages. So what happens in this very important chapter is that in the previous chapter, Aragon had taken his rock to, I think it was to the trader, and the trader was like, fam, this rock is hollow. And he tapped it with something and it made a bunch of noises. And Aragon was like, oh man, this rock is hollow. So he takes it home and he whacks around on it some more, listening to the noises it makes when he hits it with various things. And then the rock starts making its own noises. It starts peeping. Oh man.
Oh,
no. And Aragon is like, well, that's weird. And then he just goes to bed and does not investigate further. To his chagrin, the rock keeps waking him up throughout the night because it keeps peeping and squeaking, and eventually it starts rocking around and banging against a shelf. And he's like, oh, this rock is so annoying, but I'll deal with it in the morning. And he keeps going back to bed for some reason.
He's so tired, though, you guys.
That's true. He's so tired. But then in the morning, it cracks open. And okay, guys, you'll never believe this part, right? The rock, it was actually an egg. Oh my god.
Oh my
and
god.
out of the egg hatches, you won't believe this, it was a dragon.
Holy shit.
I am so shocked. I cannot believe it.
Isn't that the most surprising thing you've ever heard?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. The rock was an egg all along.
Oh my god. Who'd have thunk it?
Certainly not us.
Honestly, if I hadn't been spoiled, I would have thought it was still just some rock.
Do you think you would have clued in when it started peeping?
Yeah. Through that chapter, if I didn't know before then, I would have been like, oh, but like, dumb me would have just been like, it's still just a rock.
Just like, I'm gonna take this at face value.
Yeah.
Everyone says it's a rock, so it's probably a rock.
Probably
it's
a rock.
gotta be a rock.
You know what? I can respect that.
Yeah. Hannah inspired me from last time. And I went on a deep dive about eggs.
Oh man, that's what I did too.
Oh, good. Did we do the same deep dive?
I don't know. We'll find out.
Maybe. Okay, well, I guess I'll go first.
Lead us away.
Yeah,
with your excellent research.
Okay. I don't want to do it anymore. No.
Come on,
no,
I'm
fine.
excited to hear what you have to say.
Okay, we're changing the subject. I'm getting exasperated. Okay.
I'm
That's 3,
extremely egg-mused.
Nope.
Egg-mused.
Egg-mused.
With my own egg dicks.
All right. Anyway, and so my first addendum from a previous chapter. I know they didn't say it in this chapter, but I just wanted to. They said the egg was like as smooth as hardened silk or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When I was re-listening to the previous episode, I was like, I need to look up that because they say it's like hardened silk, so it couldn't have been made by nature. I just want to remind everyone that silk is a natural protein
Nature.
fiber
Yeah.
made by silkworms.
Yep.
Extremely nature.
Yep. Lots of nature.
Very nature.
There's just an extremely charming fact about silkworms that I need to share. The domestic mulberry silkworm
Okay.
is the one that silk comes from, and they've been selectively bred and they are fully domesticated.
Oh.
They're totally dependent on humans for like reproduction and everything. They can't survive in the wild. They don't exist anywhere in the wild, this species. They're completely separate from the wild mulberry silkworm.
Oh, cool.
And they're like completely inured to human presence and handling. So like you can just like pick up the moths.
Wow.
Which is useful because they can't fly anymore.
Oh my god. That makes sense.
So like the thing with moths is that like the males usually have to like fly around to follow the pheromones to find a female. And so since they can't do that, the humans just have to like carry the males over to a female so they can mate. Which is just adorable. Okay, anyway. They're also very pretty, but that's what I learned about the mulberry silkworm.
Great.
I love domestication stories when they don't involve cats and dogs. Like species that have been domesticated by humans, like insects or pigeons. I'm just like, I love this so much.
What do you love about it?
It's just, you don't think about how domestication isn't just dogs and cats.
Yeah.
Like, how does, anyway, doesn't matter. Imagine we'll get into it with dragons, probably.
Perhaps we will, yes.
Yeah.
A real species, the dragon.
Yeah.
The dragon.
The dragon. The real animal.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is that when the guy is like testing the egg, the trader like hits it with like a wooden hammer and then like scratches it with what I assume is a diamond, because that is like some real science he's doing right there.
Yeah.
Because the only thing that can't be scratched by diamond is something harder than diamond, right? Like there's a whole hardness scale, and you basically test things by scratching them with the harder thing.
It's called the Mohs hardness scale, and it goes from 1 to 10, with 10 being as hard as a diamond. I also looked this up.
Uh-oh, we went on the same deep dive.
We might have deep dove in the same direction.
Yep, for the first time ever.
Wow.
But when he does that test, he's just like, oh, this thing is made of nothing I've ever seen before. And so I was like, well, like, that must mean the egg is not made of egg.
Yeah.
True.
Because egg is made of, like, calcium carbonate across all birds. Bird eggs are made of calcium carbonate and a protein framework. Reptiles have, like, leathery eggs of calcite crystals and also, like, a protein/organic thing. Like, if you've ever seen, like, a snake egg, they're kind of, like, rubbery or floppy.
Mm-hmm. They're kind of soft.
Yeah, and then amphibians and fish just have, like, jelly eggs.
Yeah. So this is more like a bird egg than a non-avian reptile egg.
Well,
because it's hard. No? Oh, okay. Okay.
I have some other options.
Okay.
Oh.
So good news. There are other things that can make an egg hard. And I know you guys are going to love this.
Oh, no. If you say parasites, Sophie, I swear to God.
Because nematode eggs.
Oh, I'm leaving.
Nematode eggs have chitin on the outside.
That would do it.
I didn't get a chance to look into it because it turns out a lot of them, but insects also have like potentially chitinous eggs. Haven't looked into it fully. We'll come back to that. Okay, but until we know more about the dragon, we can't possibly know from whence it came.
Whence?
But it could be a nematode, is what I'm saying.
The dragon is a nematode.
The dragon's a nematode.
You somehow managed to like make me not want to like this dragon.
I'm just saying it could be a nematode.
You know, Sophie,
Uh-huh.
I enjoy you as a friend. Sometimes I really hate the way you think.
Why is it always parasites?
Just like every time with you. Always with the parasites.
Sophie, I need you to read Ice Planet Barbarians.
Okay.
Like, I really need you to read it.
I'm excited.
Okay. That's all I'm not gonna mention it again this episode. But like, we keep bringing up parasites, and so I'm gonna keep bringing it up until you read it.
Okay, great.
Fantastic.
Hannah, did you go on any different tangents?
Yeah. So I kind of took that in a different direction. I was like, what is an egg made of? It's made of calcium carbonate. And then I looked into a little bit how birds hatch from eggs. And it varies a little bit. It tends to be like fairly stereotyped, but one of the major differences and like what determines how a chick will hatch from a bird egg is where on the scale of like tough and flexible, so like more like the lizard turtle eggs, to hard and brittle, like an ostrich egg the shell is. And it's like, okay, this egg is clearly very hard and very brittle because you can't scratch it with a diamond and it cracks. It doesn't like tear. So a very hard, brittle shell, very thick, like cool. This is more like a bird egg. From that, I was like, okay, they're made of calcium carbonate. So what else is made of calcium carbonate?
Coral.
Coral. Other shells, things that have shells, those shells are made of calcium carbonate. So like mollusks, cuttlebones, sea urchins. Pearls are made of calcium carbonate.
Are they actually?
They are.
I mean, that makes sense, yeah.
Pearls are just like layered calcium carbonate, right?
Yeah, it's a very fine crystalline structure of calcium carbonate laid down in concentric layers around a central nucleus. A central nucleus like a grain of sand, or perhaps an embryo, maybe?
Ooh.
Oh.
But pearl, or mother of pearl, is only created, at least in our world, by mollusks, so like shellfish. Nothing with bones. So I was like, okay, let's move on. Something else that's made of calcium carbonate. Limestone is made of calcium carbonate, which means that marble is also made of calcium carbonate. And I was like, this egg was described as having a marble-like texture. Yep. And marble is basically formed when you take limestone, which is primarily calcium carbonate, from shells. So usually like limestone is the leftovers of like an uplifted sea after that's been compacted, and it's not important. Limestone is made of old shells. Marble is made of limestone that has been subjected to heat and pressure. And we don't really have enough information yet, but dragons are very strong. And they also breathe fire. So like maybe they have...
Oh god.
They have an egg that forms within the mother, and then she squeezes it real hard.
Oh god, no.
And turns it into marble.
Uh-huh.
And I thought that sounded great, because marble is also very porous for a rock. The only issue is that it's a 3 on the Mohs scale.
Oh.
With like 1 being the softest, 10 being the hardest. So it's very soft, which, you know, is why it's used for like statues and stuff. It's really easy to carve. But basically what I'm getting to with this is that dragon eggs are made of some kind of weird organic pseudo marble.
Hell yeah.
That has metamorphosed from a bird eggshell within the mother dragon.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll figure it out once we definitely get the reproductive situation of dragons in these books, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I feel like that's not until one of the later books.
Damn.
Damn it.
But I'm
That's
sure
fine.
we can talk about it. We also talked
Yeah.
about the reproductive situation of vampires, and that's not till the later books either.
That's
incredible.
true.
Hmm.
I do have to take exception to one thing you said.
Okay, yes, please do.
You did just straight up assume these dragons have bones, and
I
we
did.
cannot prove that yet.
That's a good point.
Damn.
Nobody, we can't tell.
It's true. I am
Who could
assuming
possibly tell?
I'm assuming that a dragon is a vertebrate based on the fact that they're typically portrayed as being like reptilian, and as far as I'm aware, most reptiles have bones, unless something goes wrong.
All right,
What if you
but
had a dragon, but like an octopus?
Well, dragons can fly. Are there flying? Oh yeah, insects exist.
yep.
Yep.
Okay, see,
Is a dragon a
this
moth?
is my problem.
Is everything a moth? Is this podcast just secretly about moths?
Oh no. Oh no.
Is this podcast secretly everything's a moth?
Are we gonna make everything a moth? I hate moths!
Not
Well,
anymore.
I have an irrational fear of moths.
Everything you like is actually a moth.
I hate that.
It's either a moth or a parasite, which is worse.
I hate this.
It could
Hate it
be a
here.
parasitic moth.
I hate that
That's
the most.
The worst of both worlds.
Oh my
Worst of both
God.
worlds. The problem. We'll yell about it when the dragon is described, but you can't have a dragon with 6 limbs when nothing else in the world has 6 limbs.
We're going into that already.
Yeah, we're already getting there.
No,
They didn't even describe the dragon yet, Sophie.
Yeah, I was like, we're already going into that. All
You
right.
said I'm assuming it's a vertebrate and a reptile, and I'm like, it can't be a vertebrate or a reptile.
Maybe
guess
it's
it could
just
be a
its
vertebrate.
own clade of reptiles that have spontaneously developed.
Wait, what would they be called? You have tetrapods, so
Heptapods?
Hexapods. Hepta is
I'm
7.
glad you guys know words because I was gonna go way off on that.
Sexapod.
Yep,
Sexapod.
that's where Sam went.
That's it. No.
It's probably that too.
No, but one
Yikes.
other thing I was thinking after you said the thing you said about eggs.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a crystalline structure or something.
Yeah, pearls are crystalline.
Yeah, so like one thing that is like pretty specifically mentioned several times, when they hit the egg with metal, it rings very clearly, like it makes a ringing sound.
Mm-hmm.
And it made me think of, you know how there are those like crystal wine glasses that are made to
Oh,
like,
yeah.
ring like a bell
Yeah.
for like weddings or whatever, and it's supposed
I think
to be
it's
so
just
that when you
any
hit
crystal does that.
Yeah, but I think there's like ones that specifically are like a tradition to use at weddings because they ring
Okay.
like
Cool.
bells or something. Anyway, that could be made up. But those glasses are made with like lead in them.
Oh.
So I'm wondering if there's like calcite or calcium carbonate crystals mixed with a metal or some material from this world that is harder than diamond,
Uh-huh.
right?
Like a weird
Like a magic.
semi-organic alloy.
Yeah. And
Damn.
the crystal is what makes it ring,
Yeah.
I guess.
I dig
There's
it.
something there.
Yeah,
I
there's
like
something
it.
in there. Uh-huh.
Yeah. We'll figure it out more later.
Yeah, we'll workshop it.
Yeah, it definitely won't be when we have to do the recap episode and I'm listening to all 24 episodes again, being like, why the f didn't we decide this early on?
Ayy. Ruining our lives in the future.
Yeah.
So one thing I did notice in this egg hatching chapter that is very biologically accurate is, well, can be very biologically accurate, I suppose I should say, is that the baby dragon starts peeping from inside its egg in the hours before it hatches, which is actually a thing that birds specifically do. Some birds do it for longer than others, especially birds like penguins and guillemots that live in like huge colonies. The baby will start peeping for up to a day or two before it hatches so that like the parents can memorize the sound of its call. But even with like songbirds that are notoriously quick hatchers and I guess hatch at a much like less developed stage than some other birds, they will also peep to the mother, or I suppose to whichever parent is brooding, before they hatch. And part of it is to like establish that bond. Part of it is assigned to say, make sure I'm facing the right way so I don't hatch upside down.
Aww,
It was like, that's so cute.
that's so cute.
But yeah, it's in a lot of species, it's like a bonding thing, so they can establish a bond with a caretaker before they even come out of their egg. And as the resident family fan on this podcast,
Yep.
I am a big fan of this tiny baby dragon calling out to Aragon before it even leaves the egg, being like, here I am, I'm coming to see you.
Aww.
It's very cute. I don't know if you're aware, but it's very cute.
Super adorable. Also leads me to believe that there could be dragon cuckoos, because
Oh
this
my
is
god!
also a method of ferreting out cuckoo eggs, which are brood parasites.
Uh-huh.
Basically, the female will like lay an egg in another bird's nest and be like, bye, your problem now. Which is how you end up with like a chickadee feeding like a baby that's 8 times its size.
No,
So
not cute.
I posit that this could also imply that there are
Dragons are...
parasites.
Okay, I was like, are the
Because-
dragons the brood parasites, or...
What?
Ooh,
Are-
a dragon in like a chicken
Why
nest.
did we bring it back to parasites?
It's brood parasitism.
Brood
It's
parasites are
completely
less
different.
creepy.
But it's sad.
Yeah, they do kick out all the other eggs.
Yeah, it is like other parasitism in that it leads to the eventual death of the host, but
Not the parents.
don't they sometimes like exhaust themselves to death trying to keep up with the demands of their gigantic babies?
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah.
I saw a cuckoo baby being fed in real life by a black cap chickadee one time.
Oh no.
It was so... I could not stop watching. I was so utterly charmed by this giant baby getting fed by this tiny chickadee.
Oh my
I
god.
was like, this parent is just like, I just want my giant son to do well.
It is weirdly cute.
It is kind of cute.
It's kind of cute. I mean, if
One-
dragons are the kind of things that will... I know I'm inferring a little bit based on what I remember from this series, but like a dragon will just give an egg to a person, and then
Dang.
the baby dragon will like attach itself to a person. Like it does almost sound
Like brood
like the
parasitism.
brood parasite.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
No.
Oh
Here.
my god, I wonder if... You know how cats, they only evolved to meow because
Yeah.
it triggers the same brain parts that baby noises make for humans, and so
Mhm.
it makes you think they're extra adorable. What if that's what the dragon peeping is also?
Oh my god, yeah.
Oh my god. Wait, cats do that? Are you serious?
Yeah, like a cat meow, like it doesn't mean anything to other cats. It's literally just to converse with humans.
What?
Yeah.
I'm
Yep.
clearly a dog person. But what?
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
heard that cats have like very distinct meows that like their people can interpret. Can you speak on this, Sophie, as someone with a cat?
I haven't seen my cat in like 3 months.
Oh.
I don't remember.
Oh no.
Soon. She'll be here soon.
Yeah, I'll reconvene in 2 weeks.
Oh man. Which does lead to the question, Sophie, is your cat a brood parasite?
Maybe. I mean, I did raise her from a baby, so yeah.
Hmm. This is an interesting perspective through which to view
Interesting
the world. It's almost like she wasn't supposed to be a brood parasite, but you made her into
I
one.
made her into one. Wow.
Uh,
One more interesting bird egg fact
egg
About-
fact.
about the peeping. There are some species of songbirds where they can only... You can identify a bird based on the like song they do.
Mhm.
So, right, like they always do the same repeated song. Or if they don't do the same repeated song, they have like patterns, or the lack of pattern can help you ID the bird.
Mhm.
Or they steal other people's songs and then go, meh.
Yeah, and then there are catbirds.
I like catbirds.
Catbirds are the best. But the window in which they can learn those songs as babies is like extremely small.
Oh.
And so if you like raise them without the parents singing to them during that time, they can never learn the song.
Oh, whoa.
And therefore never get a mate. But
Oh.
yeah.
Wow.
But some birds, I think it's like the fairy wren, it's like some tiny bird that like has a pretty short lifespan. They can only learn the song while they're in the egg. And so like the parent sings the song while they're still in the egg, and like that peeping back and forth phase is when they imprint the song in their brain.
Oh my god.
Wow.
And then they know it. Yeah, it's wild.
I've learned so much tonight.
That's really interesting.
A lot of bird facts today.
It's interesting how, I guess, at least superficially similar that is to people, because we have like the phase where it's exponentially easier to acquire like a second language.
Yeah.
If you learn a second language before puberty, it uses the language part of your brain. And if you learn it when you're an adult, it uses an entirely different part of your brain, which is absolutely crazy to me.
Yeah.
But there's also a thing with people, or with humans, where if you don't acquire language within like the first couple years of your life, it is equally as difficult to like learn any language as an adult as it is for someone to like learn a second language as an adult.
Dang.
And as humans, we tend to like think of ourselves as being like so much more complex than other animals. But like, I guess birds have the same thing. If you don't learn to speak at the right time, you're just
So does that mean the dragons then, do they have dragon language?
They must.
So does that mean they inherently know it if they're born and are only interacting with humans?
Oh yeah.
So can I spoil a little bit of what I remember?
Is it telepathy?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, so the dragons can speak to humans and other dragons through like telepathy, which I'm sure we'll have a lot to say about.
Sure.
But they're similar to the fairy wrens in that they learn language in the egg, I think. Or am I getting it confused with Temeraire? Because they do that in Temeraire too. Oh no.
If only you hadn't read so many dragon books.
I know, right? I'm pretty sure these dragons, similar to the Temeraire ones, are aware of what's happening around them while they are in their egg. So they do like hear speech and they are able to like pick up on different languages and stuff.
Fun.
But now I'm doubting my memory and confusing myself with other dragon books in my head.
Well, good news. We'll learn it soon enough.
Yeah, I'm pretty psyched to keep reading and learn more about this dragon.
Yeah. I want to talk about how Aragon is like super relatable at the beginning of the first chapter we read.
Okay, yes.
Because he wakes up, gets out of bed, and immediately looks at his collection of cool rocks and sticks and interesting leaves that he's just put on a bunch of shelves.
Uh-huh.
I literally read that and thought of you.
Yeah.
And then I thought of our shelf of misfit ocean bones.
Yeah.
And I was like,
oh my god.
I mean, it's both of us.
Yep. Sam and I we were like, oh, we'll cover this shelf in all of our like sea urchin and interesting shells. And then we were like, ran out of space after we each unpacked like one box.
Oh my god.
Well,
there's also a lobster molt there.
Yeah.
Oh. I found Aragon relatable, and the fact that he wakes up and looks at his cool stuff and then spends some time like angsting about how unworthy he is. Like,
I also, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, you like wake up, you look at your cool stuff, and then you think like, man, my mom left me and my dad doesn't care that I exist.
Yeah.
I'm just not worthy of love. And I'm like, man, sucks to be a teenager.
Yeah.
I still have two parents, and I'm like, man, I also am not worthy when I wake up first thing in the morning.
Yeah. I disagree. I like that he just thinks that first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Good morning. My mother abandoned me. Anyway.
Right?
It's very like early writer thing. I remember one of the first like longer form stories I tried to write, I ended up getting frustrated because I couldn't figure out how to structure like a chapter without it starting with someone waking up and ending with them going to bed. And that's what's happened in this book. Like, Aragon has woken
Yeah.
up like 4 times in 4 chapters.
Yeah, that's true.
It was like, I
Super
remember
true.
this.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
Yeah, the like looking at his things and thinking about
Yeah.
his relevant life history. It's like, wow.
Wow. Thank you for telling us.
Yep.
Your whole story. I mean, I forget a lot of things about books that I've read, but I had
Same.
forgotten that, like, yeah, what's her name? Selena just
Selena,
shows
Aragon's
up
mom.
Oh,
pregnant, has the baby, and is immediately like, okay, bye.
Yeah.
Have fun.
It's just like, okay, here's my baby. His name is Aragon. I gotta go.
I gotta go. Peace. I have an article open here called 10 Ways to Ruin Your Postpartum Recovery.
Oh my god.
Oh.
And no, sorry, the first one on the list is immediately get up and start walking.
Uh-huh.
And Selena just leaves.
Well, doesn't
So,
she
like,
wait like a couple weeks? No?
I don't
think
think that's what it
so?
said. I'm pretty sure it said the next day she pieces out.
Yeah,
my
I'm pretty
God.
sure she like pops him out and is like, "See ya."
Oh yeah.
She named him Aragon and then departed early the next morning and never returned.
Yeah, but it says everyone was shocked when she tearfully begged Garrow and Marion, who are Aragon's aunt and uncle, to raise him. And then her pleas had grown increasingly desperate until they finally agreed, and then she left.
Yeah, but I'm pretty like she would have named him like the day of.
That's probably true.
She was probably like pleading to them while she was pregnant.
While she was pregnant.
Yeah.
She was there for 5 months before Aragon was born, so that's a lot of
Yeah.
time to plea.
Yeah,
plead.
exactly.
Yeah, and it says she arrived like alone and pregnant.
She wore expensive clothes and her hair was bound by a net of pearls. I think I assumed that she would be on a horse because of these fancy
Yeah.
details.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Anyway, yeah, don't walk back to the city the day after your baby's born.
No. Oh god.
I
Also, don't ride a
think.
horse.
Also, don't ride a horse. Oh god.
Yeah, I clenched up a little bit thinking about that one.
Yep.
That poor
Anyway.
woman.
Yeah, she's having a rough time.
She's having a rough
Does
time.
she come back into it at all, or is that a spoiler? Like, does he have like is his dad somehow important in this? And like that's why she abandoned
Probably.
him?
No.
You've said it once before. He's got all the markings of a chosen one.
We've got the chosen one trope.
I'm sure his dad is just some guy.
I'll just say I remember who his dad is, but I did not remember who his mother was.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Of course, because men.
Yeah, because men.
Yeah.
No, his dad is just some guy. We don't find out who it is. It does not
Yeah.
matter.
Cool.
Doesn't
That's what I
matter.
thought.
Yeah.
So glad I was
Believable.
right.
Yeah. Wow, Sam, I almost said telekinetic. That's
Just throwing stuff across the room in your brain.
you know, you're so telekinetic you can see the future.
You said telekinetic when you
I
just meant
said-
to say, Sam, you're right.
Yeah. I was thinking telepathic, which is also incorrect. I was thinking
Also
of
I'm
incorrect.
clairvoyant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know how clairvoyance and telekinesis are the same thing?
Are the
course.
same thing.
They're the same thing.
Yeah.
No difference
Easily
between those two
confused.
things.
Yeah.
They're so similar. Well, okay. The thing from this chapter that I thought was the most fun was the introduction of the storyteller Brahm, who has, quote, a knotted white beard and a long black cape, because he's Gandalf, apparently.
Yeah.
But he's the one who tells the story about the Dragon Riders and Galbatorix's rise to the Empire of Alagaësia, which is the continent they live on. So it is said in this story, if we haven't mentioned it yet, that Galbatorix came to power like centuries ago and is still in command of the Empire, which has implications for later on in the story.
Of course it
Oh,
does.
dang. Really?
Yeah. But the thing that made me laugh about this story, because Brahm is telling the story about how like Galbatorix came up in like the legendary order of Dragon Riders, and the Dragon Riders were this like very powerful, aloof, almost extra governmental group of people from all cultures who had this like really cool power where they bonded with dragons and they were very strong magicians. And Galbatorix was like one of the strongest and most talented among them. And then he grew very arrogant because of his power and like went off on this adventure that he wasn't ready for, got his dragon killed, and then like went crazy and destroyed the entire culture of the dragon riders and took control over the empire. And I was like, Darth Vader.
Oh yeah.
Exactly the story of Anakin Skywalker and the Jedi Order. Like, just straight up, he just took the whole thing and was like, this is a really good origin story for a villain. I'm going to use it, but instead of the Force, it is dragons and magic. So if you want to know the background of Alagaësia, it's the Galactic Empire.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's so useful.
But yeah, important things that come up in this story. We meet Brahm. We are introduced to Morzan, who is Galbatorix's right-hand man. We learn about the dragon hatchling that Galbatorix stole, and the 13 Forsworn, who are Galbatorix's close lieutenants, basically. And none of that is important right now, but it will all be important later.
It's so convenient that there were 13 of them.
I know, right? Wow.
To
How
make
poetic
the
is
scary
that?
number.
Yeah. Sam, you were accidentally on mute. What kind of things do you have to say about my Star Wars story?
Oh, I loved it. I didn't think of it, so I was kind of embarrassed because as I was reading it, all I kept thinking was like, oh, he's trying to make this like Sauron. So I didn't even think about Star Wars, but I liked yours better. Yours is good. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know Sauron. I hate that name. I don't know Sauron's origin story.
Neither do I.
Okay.
No, but I don't think it's actually it might be the whole good to bad thing, because wasn't he like an elf that like got power hungry?
I literally know nothing.
Yeah, I think that was it, but I might be really wrong.
I feel like, again, this is getting a bit forward in the story. The Sauron part will probably come in later, in that I'm pretty sure Galbatorix is like basically not human anymore. He has just kind of transcended into like an evil being who lives in a tower, I think.
That's what I was like wondering. I'm like, is that where this is going? But like Darth Vader was kind of also like he was still human because like there was no magic in Star Wars, but like
yes, but he's more machine than man now.
He was more machine than man, yeah. Sauron's origin story is far too long, but I do think he went from like a good elf to a bad elf.
That should just be the tagline for that whole like Tolkien verse.
Yeah.
The Lord of the Rings, far too long.
Far too long.
Yeah.
We were talking a little bit earlier about like early writer falling into the morning and night at the beginning and end of a chapter. So I decided to do a thing that I do as a writer, and I decided to look up what all the names mean.
Oh yes, I do that too. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So, because I was like, every name that I put in a book is like specifically chosen.
Nice.
Yes.
I mean, some of them are kind of just like, this one sounds good, but most of them are picked, and so I was like, chances are each of these names might mean something.
Oh, absolutely.
And even if they don't, whatever. So, Garrow, the uncle, means brawny or rough. Sure.
Okay.
Accurate from what we've seen so far.
Yeah.
Marion, the aunt, I guess, who's dead,
Yes.
is the precious one.
Oh god.
Roran, his cousin, means the Red King.
Oh, does he have red hair? I don't remember.
I don't remember.
I don't rember either.
But maybe.
I think that might be relevant.
One of the
later.
dragon books is red, so I feel like that might come up.
Yeah.
No, that's somebody else.
Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, that might be relevant to book 4, but I don't remember.
Okay, great. Selena, the mom, it just means moon. Selena
right.
just is moon.
What does Aragon mean?
Well, Aragon is one letter different from dragon.
Love that.
Wow.
Also, though, it is from Era gone.
Whoa.
the era that is
The era
gone.
is now gone.
Oh, whoa. The
Yeah,
era of
from-
the Dragon Riders is gone.
Yeah, it's a
Wow.
reference to the previous era. You
I kind of hate
guys.
that.
Wow.
Yeah, anyway.
I kind of don't like that.
Yeah. Brahm
Uh-huh.
means raven.
Okay.
Cool. And Galbatorix.
It's the long black cape.
Yeah.
Galbatorix is
Galbatorix.
like means something?
Yep.
Oh.
Galba means big. and Torix means king.
Okay.
So he's big king.
Okay. God damn.
He's a big king.
Yeah, so hopefully if you forget his name in the future, you can just call him Big King.
Big king.
Sam.
Big king.
Jesus Christ. Did you look up Morzan?
I did. That's a made up name.
Okay.
But-
I'm on names.com, which is like, oh, name origin fiction. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Now I want to like Google all of the like place names too. What does Carvahall mean?
I think a lot of them, I didn't look up the place names because I feel like a lot of them were made from his made up language
Yeah.
or like just made to sound good. Like, I'm sure Alagaësia doesn't mean anything.
No. It probably means something in
His language.
Alagaësian. I forget what the
Yep.
language is called.
I didn't look up Murloc, but Murloc in World of Warcraft is a little fish man.
Okay.
I love
So I'm
that.
assuming that's what it means here.
I don't even remember what Murloc is. Oh, was that
He
the
was
traitor?
He was the traitor.
Oh, the traitor who basically showed up to be like, look at the stone. My favorite exchange in this chapter. Do you know what this is worth? Aragon says no, and Murloc says, unfortunately, neither do I. Thanks, bud. Is he also the one who does all of the exposition where he talks about the unrest in the land?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You
'Cause
gotta
there
have
is
an
unrest in the land.
exposition.
Yep.
I like how it was kind of like, so they say that weird shit happens in the spine all the time, right?
Yeah.
Like Aragon finds a magic rock that gets teleported there and he's like, yep, regular day in the spine.
Uh-huh.
But then when he's talking to Murloc the traitor is like surprised that this magic thing happened in the spine, and then he's like, oh, there's all this unrest around the thing. It must be coming here since weird stuff is happening here too. It's
Yep.
like, no. Weird stuff happens in the spine all the time.
Yep. I guess the central conceit to that is like Carvahall is so isolated that they haven't been affected to this point by the unrest in the land.
Yeah.
Which is like weird things happening and like Urgel showing up and attacking a bunch of people. And the Varden, who are clearly some kind of rebel group that hates the Empire. And that's basically all we know about them at this point. But between the Varden, who are anti-Empire, and the Urgels, who maybe are pro-Empire, a bunch of shit is going down in Alagaësia.
Dang.
Just not in Carvahall yet, except for this egg rock.
Yeah, it's too bad that Aragon's just gonna like stay at home and continue farming and we'll never hear about what's happening in the world, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Too bad that he's definitely gonna stay here.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be such like a good
Would that be hilarious?
It's like, do you remember that comic? I think it was like years ago on Tumblr. It was about like an anime girl who was clearly the main character but trying not to. And
Yeah.
she was like dyeing her hair brown, but her roots were pink, and like weird things were always happening to her, and like hot boys were always running into her and like spilling their papers all over her, and she was just like aggressively refusing to be the main character.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of want to read that book.
I want to read Aragon, but like Aragon stays at home, and then like you hear a story near the end of the book about like, and then one of the dragon riders took back the land, and it's like, oh, good for them.
Uh-huh. His dragon
I'm
is
gonna
just like a chill pack animal who like lives on the farm
Yeah.
and helps them plow.
Helping them plow.
It'd be like when quote unquote explorers go and quote unquote discover something by going to a place and being like, oh my god, we thought this animal was extinct. Like, look at this thing we've discovered here. And the like indigenous people who live in the area are just like, oh yeah, that's the dragon that lives up on the farm.
Yeah.
Like,
It's been
we
here
all
for
know about
months.
this. Yeah, this wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
And some white guy from the capital shows up and is like, egad's a dragon. They should all be extinct.
You're just trying to push your theory that every fantasy creature should just be a farmer.
Listen, it's a good theory.
Hannah's all about the farmers, Sophie's all about the parasites.
And
The
Sam is
vampires.
all about the love story.
Yeah!
Yeah.
Yeah.
So me and Sophie have like very specific agendas, and Sam's just like, I don't care if they farm as long as they kiss.
I'm the biologist with like the two things that's like, now kiss. What?
Now
kiss. Yes. Farmers and parasites can kiss each other.
Yeah.
Ooh.
You know what would be perfect?
Oh no, what?
So if you have your dragon and you're a farmer,
Uh-huh.
right? And you're like, I'm a farmer for my dragon. And you're like, this dragon just needs a lot of meat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But we got to make sure to use the whole animal.
The whole animal.
You should, this whole animal. You should probably team up with the neighbor farmers who only need the blood.
Oh yeah.
Oh!
Because we're going to make the Twilight Aragon crossover
That
happen
nobody wanted.
eventually. That nobody wanted.
The
Not
thing that
even us.
literally yeah. It's gonna be a big hit. Maybe.
Gonna be a big, oh yeah.
It's gonna get 3 whole downloads for sure.
Yeah.
People
are gonna
will
be lining
actively
up.
skip over that one.
People are gonna be lining up to not listen to it.
Uh-huh.
Well, anyway, anyone else have any important things to say?
Nah.
Nah. I guess it might be worth pointing out, Sam briefly alluded to it in her summary, that Brum, the storyteller telling the dragon tale, is basically committing treason, according to Aragon's uncle Garrow. Garrow's like, I've only ever heard this story twice in my life. Like, you're absolutely not allowed to know how Galbatorix came to power, which is pretty typical authoritarianism, I would say. But yeah, it's lucky for the plot that Brum happened to decide to tell the story.
Brom's gonna die, isn't he?
Well,
Who could possibly say?
Well-
it's a mystery. No one could know.
Brom gonna die.
Also, like, how long has Galbatorix been in charge?
It's been a couple centuries, I think, or maybe just one. Let me check the source text.
Because, like, Garrow says that he's heard that story twice already. So, like, if, like, you'd think...
That's a good point.
Like, so maybe Brom has committed treason a bunch of times.
A couple times.
Just because I'm in that sentence right now, I cannot believe that he put in this book, like, Galbatorix kicked Frail in the book and then chopped off his head.
Uh-huh.
Which is so funny.
That's how he wins the fight to become emperor of all the lands.
That's why he doesn't want anyone to know the story.
Yep.
The rest of it is fine, but, like, telling people you kicked someone in the so that otherwise you would have lost. So rude.
Okay. After a very long and very uninteresting interlude that I cut out in editing, they've determined Galbatorix is 134, so it was century that he reigned, not centuries. My bad.
Yep. So Brom has committed treason a bunch of times.
At least 3 times.
Confirmed.
Cool.
What a guy.
The one last thing I want to say.
Uh-huh.
Okay, wait, 2 last things. The first is the sentence where they're at the market and Aragon is, like, looking at what everyone's doing, and it just says, women were buying cloth while nearby their husbands examined a new latch, hook, or tool.
I hate
Yeah.
it.
I enjoyed that
hate this so
quite a lot.
patriarchy is alive and well in Aragon.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
You know, in olden times, patriarchy.
Mm-hmm.
the old patriarchy.
Imagine you can write a fantasy book. You can
just
put
not
whatever
have
you
it.
want in it. You could just
Yeah,
not
but he was a
have it.
15-year-old boy. He probably wanted patriarchy.
He probably had no idea what he was
Probably.
doing, and this is the only thing he knew about.
Yeah.
Probably.
I also just love the concept of like the husband's just examining a new latch, a hook,
latch.
or a tool.
Just
I was
one
like-
single hook.
Like, I'm just imagining Christopher Paolini, like 15, writing this book, being like, "What the do people buy
Yeah.
for like houses and stuff?
Mhm.
What do people need?"
I had that kind of experience that perhaps Christopher Paolini would have written about in Aragon, where I met up with another one of my female coworkers at a Canadian Tire to buy a part that I needed for my ROV, which we learned while we were there is called a quick link.
Mhm.
Okay.
But I didn't know that, and she didn't know that either, so we were like walking through the hardware aisles, and I'm like, it's like a D-ring, but it's like not a D-ring, and it's like not quite a shackle, but it's like kind of like a shackle. We just had to wander around until I found it and was like, that!
That. I feel like that happens every time I go into a Canadian Tire or
Oh my
like
God.
hardware. I'm just like, I don't know where anything is, so I'm gonna be here for 2 hours.
Yeah, well, it's like, I know what I need, but I don't know what it's called, so I just
Yep.
have to look for it until I see it.
Mhm.
Anyway,
Just-
it's a quick
yeah.
link, in case anyone was wondering.
Now I know.
This is not important to anything. While we're talking, just real quick about lines that we liked, can I tell you my favorite line from these 2 chapters?
Sure.
Yeah.
It was from the second chapter, where Aragon is woken up in the middle of the night by his squeaking rock. And I think it's the second time he gets woken up, and he's really annoyed that this rock won't shut the hell up. So he glares angrily at it, because that is how you cow loud rocks into submission. And, quote, it ignored his furious glare and sat solidly, occasionally peeping. And just the imagery of Aragon sitting in the dark, glowering at this
Glare.
rock, and it just occasionally peeping and doing nothing else in response is just like so funny to me.
The other line that I enjoyed
Uh-huh.
was just Garrow and Roran were already there eating chicken. I don't know why.
Right?
I
Look,
don't
yeah.
know why it tickled me, but it's just like Aragon wakes up, thinks about how much his mom abandoned him, goes down to breakfast, and Garrow and Roran were already there eating chicken. It's like, what?
Gotta get your chicken.
For some reason, yeah, the fact that they were eating chicken for breakfast, like, also struck me, and I had to
Yeah.
think about it for a minute.
Like, because if you have chickens, you have eggs. Like,
Yeah. Like, there's nothing wrong with chicken for breakfast,
ugh.
but it was just like, for some reason, it totally caught me off guard.
I mean, like, I'm sure there were no, like, it's probably just because in my head, I'm like, normally you'd say, like, they're eating porridge or they're eating, like,
Yeah.
eggs. That's like, you don't, there's no law that says you have to eat what we define as breakfast foods for
Right?
breakfast.
And yet,
And yet, it was funny to me.
it was funny. Okay.
Yeah, so since we're done talking about that, what do we think is going to happen next? The next chapter is called Awakening, and then the one after that is called Tea for Two.
Oh my god. Do you think Aragon's gonna wake up in the next chapter? Like
think
he
he
always
might
does at the
awaken.
beginning of the chapter?
Yeah,
Wait, isn't the awakening the dragon coming?
yeah, probably.
Probably, yeah.
And
That makes
she's
more
gonna
sense.
unfurl her wings and the little baby dragon will go, "Rawr."
Aw, it's gonna
I
be
love her.
cute.
It's gonna be so cute.
It's gonna be adorable.
I'm so excited to meet the baby dragon.
I think
Yeah.
Aragon's gonna probably freak the out.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Um,
Aragon has been pretty unflappable so far.
I mean, he's
might
pretty like blah.
Yeah, he's
Like,
very
he's not a very
blasé about
interesting
life-changing
character.
events. He's really not.
Because he's just like so tropey that I'm like, I literally give zero fucks about you. Where's the dragon?
He's definitely like an author insert, right? Like,
Yeah.
similar to what we said about Bella at the beginning of Twilight, it's like you're not supposed to connect to this as a character. This is just like a vessel for you to imagine being in the situation. Or at least
Yeah,
that's how
for
it feels
sure.
so far.
That's true,
He-
yeah.
He might not be so unflappable when he sees the wings.
No, when she flaps, Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh? Once the dragon flaps? Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Flappity
Or
flap.
Or do you think he's gonna see the wings and be like, egads, how is this hexapod here?
That's probably what he's gonna think.
Yeah.
He's gonna be like, I am flapped. Extremely flapped.
I'm very flapped by this 6-limbed vertebrate.
Hexapod.
And I mean, T for 2 is probably, does he go talk to Brahm?
Ooh, the storyteller?
T for 2.
Maybe?
I know
Maybe.
who he's going to talk to, so I'm not gonna say anything.
I think Sophie's guess is good.
Because, like, he heard a story about a dragon, and then now he has a dragon.
Yeah, that seems like a
so-
logical next step.
The only person
Probably gonna
who
go talk to the
has
person.
talked about a dragon before is Brahm, so...
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So he's gonna hang it with a baby dragon and talk to
Yeah.
a dragon storyteller. Dragons.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got distracted thinking about how much I wish I like books where, like, the dragon and the kid are friends and they, like, grow up together, but I was just thinking about how much I want, like, a la Mandalorian, just like an old man,
Yes!
Oh my
Like-
god, with the dragon?
45 years old, who
baby!
ends up with a baby dragon.
Aw.
Little baby dragon! It would be like Aragorn from Lord of the Rings. Little baby dragon!
Aragorn from Lord of the
Yeah.
Rings has a dragon?
Wouldn't that be fun?
I wish!
No, but he could.
But he could.
Oh,
and that,
okay.
And that could be very a la Mandalorian.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do-do-do-do.
Anyway, that
Ooh.
charmed me, which is why I got distracted.
is very
Anyway,
charming.
It charmed me too.
now that we've guessed, how about let's talk about what else we're reading. I
Yeah.
have to open Goodreads to remember what I'm reading. I started Blackfish City like a really long time ago and then just dropped off of it because it was not grabbing my attention. But I'm back on it now, and like the next chapter I read got me.
Oh.
So now I'm gonna finish it. So I'm in
Yeah.
the middle of reading that. And then I also started the audiobook for Bones of the Past, which is the second Drew Hayes book following Forging Hephaestus, which was so good. It's like the first superhero book I've ever read. Like, I didn't get into comics. I guess I watch Marvel movies, but like this, I didn't expect to like this series, and I like it a lot, and I'm very excited.
I have not picked up a book in a week because I just drove across the country, so I listened to audiobooks and I started listening to the 7 or 7.5, depending if you're in the US, Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, because that's how the narrator
Evelyn?
says it. That's how the narrator
not-
says it. I know.
That can't be correct.
I know. Anyways, moral of the whole thing is the audiobook put me to sleep while I was driving.
Oh, God.
Oh god.
So, stop that. Bought a physical copy of it, but haven't actually picked it up yet. But anyways, don't recommend the audiobook for that, because one, the narrator says Evelyn instead of Evelyn, and it's infuriating. And two, he has a lovely voice, but my god, don't listen to it while you're driving. And then, yeah, besides that, I am reading Oathbringer, which is the third book in the Stormlight Archives by Brandon Sanderson, and it's fantastic.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's 55
Long book.
hours.
Oh my god.
You're like so close to being done the series though, right? It's only 3 books.
No, there's 4
Oh.
out, and the 5th one is like the final installment of the first half. And then
Oh god.
Oh my god.
yeah, so the way he's doing the Stormlight Archives is it's 10 books total, but they're split into 2 unique parts. So like the first part is 5 books, and it at the end of book 5 it'll be like a conclusion. So if you don't want to keep reading, like you have an ending. But then the next 5 are supposed to be like in the same world and everything, and then like I guess the continuation, but like you don't necessarily need to read them to find out the ending of the first half, if that makes sense.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
So
a lot.
I don't know. Right now I want to just catch up because I want to go read all of the wikis and everything,
Oh
and
yeah.
I can't without getting spoiled, so I'm trying to like get through to Rhythm of War. And then I don't know when he's planning on releasing the 5th one. So,
Dang.
yeah.
Dang.
I mean, his books are like 80 million pages.
I mean,
Yeah.
So he'll probably only take him a year because he's a machine.
he is a machine. That man pumps out books like no other. It's insane.
Wild.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not reading anything nearly that long. I'm listening to a nonfiction audiobook called Endurance, Shackleton's Incredible Voyage, and it is the story of Ernest Shackleton and his crew who got shipwrecked in the Antarctic.
Ooh.
Because apparently my thing now is that I listen to shipwreck audiobooks. It's really good so far. Things have started going terribly wrong, but, you know, I guess that's what you can expect from a shipwreck audiobook. I am also reading The 10,000 Doors of January by Alex E. Harrow, which is our September Midlight Book Club read, and it's good so far. I'm not very far, but it's giving me sort of Invisible Life of Addie LaRue vibes. Yeah. It's got that same kind of like fairy tale isn't quite the right word, but that almost like dreamy storytelling, and it sounds like somebody who's going to be going on like displaced adventures. Maybe.
Oh my god.
We'll see how I feel once I'm a little further in. I'm only a couple chapters in so far, but enjoying that so far. Good pick, Sophie. But then when I'm done that, because this episode is coming out at the end of September,
Ooh.
I get to read my Midlight Book Club pick for October, which is one of my favorite books of all time. It is Watership Down by Richard Adams, and I just got a like special illustrated edition today. It just arrived in the mail today, and I'm so excited to read it. So when this episode comes out, I will be days away from starting that book.
Yay!
Oh man.
And I am super excited to make Sam and Sophie read it too, and they have to like it because it's the rules.
Yeah.
I already have the audiobook.
The rules are you're allowed to say whatever you want about every other month, but on the birthday months, you have to like the books the other person chooses.
Wait, is that why you guys liked Fable even though I hated it?
Yep.
It was so good.
It's pretty good.
No,
It subjectively was not, but that's fine.
It was okay.
Yeah.
It was okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, like I enjoyed it, but it's not a work of art by any means.
Yeah.
The cover,
I remember
though.
nothing about it.
The cover is a work of
so
art.
good.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yeah.
I have it on my shelf because it's very pretty. Anyway,
Cool.
if you liked this chapter of Midlight Crisis, consider rating and reviewing us on iTunes or your podcatcher of choice. You can talk to us and find fun-related content on social media. We are at Midlight Pod on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and all chapters of the show thus far are available on our website, midlightpod.podbean.com, and on YouTube. And thanks to Kevin McAvoy of Radioactive Spider Pod for his fantastic voice work. You can also find him on social media at Radioactive Spider Pod. Yep. I hope that was a worthwhile use of your time, Kevin. Thanks.
Thanks, Kevin!
Thanks, Kevin.
And much like us, when people asked us why we were still reading Twilight, Selena, when leaving Aragon behind, only wept and said, I must. I must.
Neil's butter better. Neil's butter better. Neil's butter better.
He says it
Neil's
so
butter
many
better.
times.
My name is Neil's butter better, and I insist on a diet solely of jelly deals. Butter
So
better.
many of them.
Neil's butter better. Butter better. Better butter. Butter.